the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
It sounds like the Chicago Bears are considering trading this key player on their roster. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. We have a huge update in regard to the Chicago Bears and their roster. And ever since the Chicago Bears hired Ben Johnson to become their next head coach, a lot of Bears fans, including myself, have speculated on what he would actually do to upgrade their roster. And then, as we all remember in a recent interview a couple of weeks ago, prior to him being named the next Chicago Bears head coach, he discussed on how he wanted to upgrade the running back position, which put DeAndre Swift in the spotlight. And if you remember the history between DeAndre Swift and Ben Johnson, DeAndre Swift was in Detroit at the same time Ben Johnson was named the offensive coordinator. After the first year Ben Johnson was the OC for the Detroit Lions, the Lions then traded DeAndre Swift away to the Philadelphia Eagles, where they got a 4th round pick and 7th round pick in return for DeAndre Swift. And it seems that the Chicago Bears could be looking to trade DeAndre Swift again. And this is according to this X account who has nailed Bears news in the past. So once again, this guy has been on X countless of times breaking news and rumors on the Chicago Bears. And it's actually come to life. He said this. He said, DeAndre Swift is not part of the future plans, which shouldn't be a surprise to many Bears fans. Currently, exploratory talks are being discussed of getting him moved for a late round pick. He said, keep a close eye on this. Bears fans, this really does shock me, but at the same time, it really doesn't shock me. The reason why it shocks me is because Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears just signed DeAndre Swift to a 3-year, $24 million contract with $15 million of that guaranteed just last offseason. DeAndre Swift would be going into year 2 of that 3-year contract. But at the same time, the reason why it doesn't shock me, because once again, when Ben Johnson was the OC with the Detroit Lions actually dumped DeAndre Swift and traded him to the Philadelphia Eagles. So to me, it makes sense on why Ben Johnson would probably not be feeling, DeAndre Swift as a running back one. And even this guy on X even kind of added to that. He said Ben Johnson has never viewed Swift as an RB1, and this dates back to when they were both in Detroit. He also added, for the record, there is still a good possibility he is retained if no teams wants to make a trade, but he's not the primary option at running back. Once again, Ben Johnson said in an interview just a couple of weeks ago that he wants to upgrade the running back position. There's a lot of Bears fans out there, many in House Hall, that probably view that, hey, maybe DeAndre Swift is not a workhorse type of back that really fits in Ben Johnson's offense. When you look at what Ben Johnson had in Detroit, he had Jahmyr Gibbs and he had David Montgomery. I think Ben Johnson is obviously trying to echo on some of the things that he had and allowed him to be successful as an offensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions. And here is the interesting part. First and foremost, what would the Chicago Bears actually get if they did, in fact, trade DeAndre Swift? When you look at the last couple of years for DeAndre Swift, he's had pretty productive numbers. First off, with the Bears last season, he had 253 carries with 959 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. And that was behind a offensive line that wasn't always productive, right? It was a shuffling offensive line. Guys were in and out of the lineup. So to me, that is a pretty remarkable stat for DeAndre Swift. You can only imagine what he would be able to do when the Chicago Bears actually build this offensive line. He can very well be a huge asset. But I know there's a lot of Bears fans out there, when they really view DeAndre Swift and his season, they don't like what he actually brought to the table. They said that he lacks vision. He lacks, that sometimes speed and just all that good stuff that you want to see in a running back. So there's a lot of Bears fans that are already out on DeAndre Swift. But to me, when you look at his stats, he had a pretty productive year for the Chicago Bears. So now, once again, what will the Chicago Bears get? Would there actually be any teams that are interested in a guy like DeAndre Swift? When you look at what the Detroit Lions got back in 2023, when they traded him to the Philadelphia Eagles, they traded DeAndre Swift and a 7th round pick and got a 4th round and 7th round pick back in return. So they got 2 day 3 picks, which to me is very solid draft capital for DeAndre Swift. But when you look at the last couple of years for DeAndre Swift and how productive he was, when you look at him, with the Philadelphia Eagles, he had over 1,000 rushing yards. He made his first ever Pro Bowl. And then to follow that up with the Chicago Bears, he had 959 rushing yards behind this offensive line. So to me, the last couple of years have been really productive. So I think there would be teams that would possibly be interested in DeAndre Swift if the Chicago Bears actually wanted to go that route. And to me, they should be able to land a 4th round pick and maybe even a 6th or 7th round pick, just what the Detroit Lions got a couple of years ago, maybe even more, just depending on how people really view DeAndre Swift and what he could possibly add to their football team, right? So another question for the Chicago Bears is this. If you actually get rid of DeAndre Swift, you are leaving a gaping hole in that running back room. For example, if you trade away Swift, now all you have is Roschon Johnson and Ian Wheeler. Roschon Johnson's not an every down back. Ian Wheeler was a rookie last year, but tore his ACL, so he's coming off that ACL injury. That would mean that the Chicago Bears, Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles, if they do in fact trade DeAndre Swift out of Chicago, that they would probably be looking to invest in a running back either in the 1st or 2nd rounds in the 2025 NFL draft, or maybe even looking in free agency as well. I did a video just a couple of weeks ago about, if Ben Johnson wanted to upgrade the running back position, what options would he have? I brought up Najee Harris. I brought up Aaron Jones. A lot of you guys weren't big fans of those options, but then when you look at the NFL draft, of course, you have Ashton Genty in round 1, which is a lot of Bears fans saying that, hey, he could very well be the future running back 1 here in Chicago, while there's some of you guys saying, no, stay away from Ashton Genty, continue to build the trenches. But then you also have guys in round 2s and 3s, guys like Caleb Johnson, Travion Henderson, among others, right? So the Chicago Bears, if they wanted to actually ship off DeAndre Swift, that puts more focus on what they actually want to do. And it basically just, it'll be Ben Johnson telling the truth. He clearly said that he wanted to upgrade the running back position. And if he ends up trading DeAndre Swift or just flat out cutting DeAndre Swift, at least he was, being honest on that. That was an area on the roster that he really wanted to upgrade, and he followed through with that. He wants to make sure that he has the right personnel in place to really take the offense to the next level, to really allow Caleb Williams to take the next level as well. And if he feels that DeAndre Swift is not a true running back 1, or if he doesn't feel that Swift is a true fit that can actually help this offense and take Caleb Williams to the next level, then that's what they're going to need to do. But the sounds of it is that right now there's nothing set in stone, that they're just exploring the idea of trading DeAndre Swift, whether it's true or not. And if they can find a deal for him, they're going to ship him out of Chicago, but they're also willing to bring him back as well and let him finish out his contract. And if that's the case, I can still see Ben Johnson, Ryan Poles, and the Chicago Bears going out and finding an upgrade, probably in the NFL draft, maybe in rounds 2 or 3 with guys like Travion Henderson or even a guy like Caleb Johnson. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. Once again, at this point, this is just rumors going around, but this guy on X definitely has some type of sources, because he has broken news before actually happened with the Chicago Bears, and he's pretty accurate. So we'll see what happens if the Chicago Bears actually find a trade partner. But Bears fans, before I let you guys go, let me ask you guys this. Do you think the Chicago Bears should actually trade DeAndre Swift if they find a trade partner? Let me know down below what you're thinking in the comment section. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You can go